Hi there. Yes, I'm back again. It's been a while. I realize that I've had a lot of things going on, and one of the areas I wanted to address when I went into radio silence for a while was a commitment to follow up on the INFP Male to talk a little bit more about relationships. There are some folks that came back with comments that this was a very depressing set of observations. I don't know that these will be less depressing, but at least they will be different and will put things into context, I hope. I've been going through a lot of materials related to MGTOW and Red Pill and Alpha, Beta, Sigma, Gamma, Omega, what have you. There's a whole Greek alphabet out there for what's possible, trying to figure out how to give some sort of distilled advice that would be useful. A lot of these pieces, some folks might find all of this objectionable. I feel it's kind of my way, it may or may not be yours, to try and filter through sources and say, well, there's something useful here. Let's sift through and find the useful bits and use those to some effective fashion to understand what's going on out there in the world. I should also add the disclaimer, I've been married now for 15 years, give or take, so I have not been on the dating scene. I was dating for some time back in the 90s, and it was an unmitigated disaster. And then I found my wife, and I found the lady, or I knew the lady who became my wife from over a long period of time, and that all worked out pretty well in the end. But what I'm trying to say, the good news and bad news, I believe this is one of the kind of conclusions that holds water, is that your personality type is not that important when it gets down to at least initial dating, if you want to have a girlfriend. That's right, personality type is not that important. What is important is appearance, it's height and face and body, and it's the look. That's most important first of all, the look and the behavior, but mostly the look. And that's what you see is that an ESTP who's handsome is going to be considered flirty. An ESTP who's not handsome is going to be considered pushy and creepy. An INFP who's handsome is going to be considered to be sort of deep and maybe sensitive. An INFP who's not attractive might be seen as being weird and again kind of creepy or odd or just kind of an oddball loser. An NTP who's handsome is going to be seen as smart. That person's so intelligent. If they're not handsome, they might be seen as being dorky and again, kind of a loser. So it has nothing to do with whether or not you are one personality type or another for that initial conversation, initial attraction. It's what you look like. And this is something that I struggled with for a long time to say, how do I provide INFP advice when the first thing is it's my experience is my experience. I don't consider myself to be particularly good looking, but I have a certain height and I have a certain build and I have a certain look. And you do have a certain height, build, and look as well. And whatever that is, that's sort of the base where you have an opportunity to start conversations and lead that to a next level. So I feel like that's the good and bad news, that personality type is important over time, but to get those first dates, to get your foot in the door, it's about appearance. So what can you do as an INFP? Well, the other day on Reddit, something came across my desk and I thought it was very cogent to some past realizations, and that is, this was a case, and I'm reversing the genders now because it was a lady writing in about a man who was dating vapid ladies even though he was surrounded by all sorts of intelligent, creative, fun, in her opinion, much superior women, herself included. If you're on the flip side of that, you may be seeing, yourself and other peers and say, well, we've got smart people and creative people and fun people, and there's nothing wrong with us, but there's this lady that I'm attracted to, and she is going for what I would believe are vapid men, more for base physical attraction and really nothing else. There's an important thing to do here, and I remember doing it many, many years ago, and that is you can't change the way the world works, but you can look at what's happening and reframe your own perspective. So once you begin to understand that the world has been this way and ever has thus it been, you can then see the roles of the archetypes that are fitting into this relationship conflict, of the desired lover that you cannot have, that you are the jealous outsider to that relationship, and someone else who is to you, the hated lover, who you don't want to be in this privileged position. Well, it's not, once you recognize this, you're just playing a role in different societal roles. And it's really entirely on you whether or not you want to be in that role or you want to step out of it and do something different. You can see how the others are being pigeonholed into their individual roles. So you have the vapid lover, this boy toy or whatever, but that person's got their own issues and things that they have to go through. Their life isn't perfect. And so, yeah, sure, you might think that, gosh, wouldn't it be nice to be that other person who's getting all these dates and whatever. But I knew a guy who was a very close acquaintance for many years who was incredibly handsome. And it's like, I wouldn't want his life. He had to put up with stuff that just, it wasn't worth it. It was just kind of awful. He'd be pursued in all sorts of ways. He'd have to be careful in his actions. And there were folks who would right or wrongfully get very angry at him because he would not consider them attractive or appealing, or he was already seeing someone else. And so he had to live with this social chaos of women who wanted something to do with him. He wanted to act in a moral way. He didn't want to be, sleeping around with everybody. So it put him in a very difficult position a lot of the time of trying to sort of get himself out of harm's way and keep himself there. And then you have the lady who is trying to go for this vapid lover, the one that you would desire. Is she really what you think that she is? Or are you ascribing these values and virtues to her? And once you start realizing, you put all of this together, it's like, well, wait a minute. What's going on here is a lot more complex. And we're playing out, this theater of masks that someone is looking a particular way, and they may have a particular combination of factors that you find very appealing, but it's on you that you believe that this person is going to be the one that will make your life more complete. And that's not necessarily the case. That's a hypothesis. So the thing that you can do is to own your own actions and to, I hate to say it this way, go your own way, but not go your own way in the way that it is a reflection of or a reaction to what's happening with women. You go your own way because you go your own way, because you see that there's a path that you can take that is the proper moral path that you want to take. And then at some point, if there's someone else who wants to share in that path, well, they will come along for the ride. So anyway, that's probably have talked too much already on this topic, but I wanted to bring forward these ideas, and I hope that it may be helpful in some way to reframe some of the circumstances that you may find yourself in or have been in the past, to reconsider. And, if you're an INFP male, my heart goes out to you, because you do feel these things very deeply. And the reframing isn't easy, but you've got the NE to do it. You can do it. And it's almost necessary for growth to understand that this desire that you have within you for someone else is, in a way, it's sort of an illusion of things that you expect or believe might be a certain way, but is not necessarily the solution that you're looking for. So with that, a good day. I'm back, at least for now, and I hope to see you all again soon.